Hello, everybody. Very warm welcome to all the participants on this webinar. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're located in the world. I'm very happy to present together with Comet Backup. My name is Jean-Michel Carre. I work at Wasabi and I'm responsible for alliances in EMEA. And I'm very happy to present today with Josh from Comet Backup. And I thank Josh very much today because he is an early bird because it's 5 a.m. his time or something like that. So thank you so much, Josh, for joining this webinar. Today, we're going to cover how the two solutions work nicely together. What is the cloud backup landscape, the technology, the benefits of in terms of business of combining the two solutions, and how both together, Wasabi and Comet, we're going to improve data protection and peace of mind for the customers. Josh will do a quick demonstration. We talk a little bit about pricing model and savings you can easily gain by combining the solution. And we will finish by a quick Q&A session. So the cloud backup landscape has dramatically changed these past years. In the past, cloud storage was considered to be expensive, both for the storage and the backup licenses. It was configured to be complicated, very difficult to understand, which is no longer the case because with Wasabi, it's no longer expensive. In terms of lack of flexibility, difficult to manage and to administer, this is no longer a problem because Wasabi is going to offer cloud object storage as a service. So it's not going to be time consuming, and it will be very easy if you use the appropriate backup software to restore data from the cloud onto your premises. A quick overview about Wasabi. Wasabi is a US company. We are headquartered in Boston. Wasabi was founded by the Carbonite founders in 2015. We are a privately held company, well-funded, more than $110 million at the day we speak. And we offer one single product, which is Cloud Object Storage as a Service. So we're offering something similar to what is known from Amazon S3, Microsoft Azure, Google. And we have a lot of customers today. They are spread across the entire spectrum of customers, public sector, private sectors, SMBs. And very important for us, we have a strong network of technology partners, and Comet Backup is one of them. And a lot of our customers today, they are MSPs, managed services providers, and most of them, they're offering backup as a service solution, for example, with Comet Backup. Something which is extremely interesting, and I recommend that you click on this link once you receive the presentation. We've been rewarded and recognized as a contender by an IDC study about the public cloud cold storage services 2020. And you will get the full report about Wasabi, and we are extremely proud of that, to be very close to what we call the big three. I let you guess who are these big three. Our value proposition is extremely simple. First one is about price. And the Wasabi price is about 80% less than what you will pay to Amazon, for example, or Azure or Google. We are cheaper than these different competitive solutions because the price for the capacity, which is at the end what the customer, they buy from a cloud storage provider, the price per capacity is smaller, but also we do not charge for egress activities and we do not charge for the API call. Performances. You can think that because the price is low, the performances are not going to be good. This is absolutely the opposite. We took our time to design our cloud object storage solution, and we are delivering extremely good performances, and we are faster than the competition. I will go in detail on this topic a little bit later. We have good performances both for uploads and downloads. It is extremely important that what is referred as the time to first byte, when you download some data from the cloud, the data start reaching your server as quickly as possible. And last but not least, This is about security and protection. We are hosted by data center who are offering all of the requirements and expectations in terms of availability, redundancy. And our solution itself is delivering this 11 nines data durability, which is a must-have feature if you, as a customer, want to use a cloud object storage. And lastly, we were the first cloud storage vendor to offer immutable storage, so you can create a bucket which is immutable on Wasabi. So where do we have data centers and presence in the world? As well, a US company, we have, of course, more presences in the US. We now have 4 data centers. We just opened a few weeks ago a 4th data center in Texas. So we have 4 data centers. We have 1 data center in Netherlands, in Amsterdam, and without having a presence in the European Union, it was barely impossible to sell Wasabi to European customers who have to comply with the GDPR regulation. And we opened at the beginning of 2020 a location in Japan in partnership with NTT. Most of our customers, they are connecting to Wasabi using a regular internet access. We can accept a lot of parallel requests because our servers, which are connected to the internet on our storage location, they have several 100 gigabit internet Ethernet cards and several 10 gigabit Ethernet cards. For those of you who might be using the compute facility of Azure, Google, and Microsoft, you can also have a direct connect possibility between the two. For some of our customers who have a significant amount of data and they want to transfer this amount of data as quickly as possible into Wasabi, we have a possibility to offer a Wasabi Ball transfer appliance, which is a small NAS box, which we ship to the customer site. You ingest the data on the Wasabi Ball, and once it is filled up to 100 terabytes per appliance, then we will return it to Wasabi, and we will do the ingestion into the designated account on Wasabi. Okay. Performances is something which is extremely important for our customers, and we took our time. It took us about 2 years to operate our first data center. So this high-level architecture on the top right on this slide is showing that we have a lot of redundancy on our design. We do have a lot of storage servers in order to create multiple copies of the same objects in order to be facing multiple disk drive failures without losing data. We have several user servers which are managing the user accounts, and we have a redundant database server system in order to be able to handle the users, but also to handle the objects, which are frequently referred as metadata when it is about the cloud object storage. So it's a significant cost reductions and brings performances improvement. And because of our highly distributed exabyte scale storage, we're able to deliver high performances. And we run the benchmark comparing ourselves with Amazon S3 with multiple workload, multiple concurrent threads, and whatever was the workload, the green bar, which is Wasabi, is always better than the orange bar, which is Amazon. Protection is another big topic because as a customer, you're going to put your data in a public cloud infrastructure. So it has to be both durable and available. When it is about durability, it means that these famous 11 nines, which we claim, and which is also claimed by our competitors, means that it is almost impossible to lose one data. We consider that if you have 10 billion of files, you can expect to lose one file every 1,000 years. When it is about availability, you have to restore your data which are into the cloud. What is the availability of your cloud storage solution? Our SLA is 99.99%, which is less than 40 minutes of downtime per year, which is, again, SLA very similar to the other competitors. And for the past 4 months in our data centers, we have been running 100% of the time operational without downtime. One important thing is that we perform a lot of data integrity checks. Every time you upload a new file, the system is doing some integrity check. Every time you want to download file, again, the system does data integrity. And if nothing happened on the file for the past 90 days, there is an automatic process which is going to verify the integrity of the data. Security is a big concern. First of all, the data you're going to send to Wasabi will be encrypted in transit and of course will be encrypted at rest. So the data, they are secure as soon as they leave your premises. Immutable buckets is an additional way to prevent accidental deletion of modification. And when the users, they have to access the Wasabi console for management, we have a strong identity management system. We support multi-factor authentication system as well. We have compliance with many industry standards. There are some industry standards which is coming from our hosting company, like SOC 2, ISO 27001. These certifications, they belong to the data center, which is hosting Wasabi. And we have a lot of certifications like HIPAA for healthcare data in the US, FERPA, which is US as well, MPA, which is more dedicated to the media entertainment world, and GDPR for the European customer. You can find a lot of additional details on all of these features on our website as well. Now I leave it to Josh, who is going to discuss about Comet Backup.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jean-Michel, for the introduction, and great to hear those things about Wasabi. Just to give you a quick introduction about Comet and us and sort of why we're here talking today. So we are a backup vendor. We just primarily develop backup software for the MSP IT service industry. We don't develop any services or provide any direct services to end users. We're purely a company that develops and provides backup solutions for the channel industry. In terms of our history, we've actually got quite a rich history in backup itself. In the early 2000s, we were one of the largest backup companies in New Zealand, and we were primarily doing medical and legal types of backups. During that time, we were sort of struggling to monitor and manage the various different backup products out there. So we started work on an internal tool, and that tool monitored those products, and we were using that internally as the backup company. Fast forward a little bit later, we sold the backup company and we decided to continue moving forwards with our platform for monitoring these backup solutions. And we were starting to get into quite a unique sort of time where we were starting to get lots of feedback from the users of our system about the different types of backup products that they were using, what was good with them, what was bad with them, and what they felt they were lacking. And we realized that we were sitting on a bit of a gold mine in terms of the ideal sort of backup blueprint for service providers. So around about 2014, we started developing that product, and in 2017, we launched Comet. And since then, we've gone on to have quite a healthy partner base across, I think, over 60 different countries, all uniquely supporting their own customers with the various types of backups of how they offer it and achieve it. So that's just a little bit of history of Comet. So what I'm going to talk to you today about is how you can leverage Wasabi with Comet in terms of using it for a deployment or a managed backup service offering. So first of all, is obviously the biggest question is what can you back up with Comet? So with Comet, we've got support for all three of the major operating systems, Windows, Linux, Mac. We've also got support for the products in those, so Microsoft SQL, Hyper-V, Exchange, Windows Server System State. You're able to do full disk imaging, file and folder backup, Windows Systems Backup, MySQL, MongoDB, application rewriter, and even program output. So it's quite a wide range of different types of applications that you can back up with Comet. And one of our jobs is to obviously provide you the tools to be able to go in there and to do this backup yourself. So that's just some of the things that you can back up with Comet. And next is the advantages with that technology. So as I mentioned, we were a backup company ourselves, and we had a lot of different frustrations that we had with these various products. So we really took those frustrations and looked at how we could overcome them with the development that we do in Comet. And so this is sort of the feature set in Comet that gives some really unique benefits for MSP partners that are using Comet. The first is client-side deduplication. It's client-side, so what this means, it's nice and fast, it's nice and bandwidth efficient. There's no sending data or large amounts of data to servers for it to be deduplicated there or anything like that. Next, it's incremental forever. So the only time that Comet will ever upload the full file is on the first upload. Everything after that is just purely an incremental upload beyond that. So what this means is there's no fragile chains and there's no delta merging with Comet's backup technology. Next is no full re-uploads. So again, after the first backup's run, that's the only time you're going to have to ever upload that full file in its entirety. And compressed and encrypted. Now this sort of really complements Wasabi quite nicely. This means that during backup, everything is compressed and encrypted. So during backup, during transit, and at rest, encrypted. When it's being restored, it is only decrypted on the client's machine itself. A lot of other backup products there, they will decrypt it on the server and then send it to the client unencrypted, which is obviously a bit of a security concern. We don't have any of that within Comet itself. And next is a few more technical benefits that sort of really we've seen resonate well with MSP customers that are using Comet. The first is direct to cloud, and you can certainly leverage this with Wasabi. What this lets you do is it allows you to back up directly from your customer site to the cloud storage itself without going via server or any other way. So this is the fastest and most efficient way to be able to back up to the cloud itself. And we've got really nice integration for Wasabi that makes it really simple to enter the details and get this running for your customers. Next is no spool space. So with our backups in Comet, you don't need any spool space. There's a number of different backup products out there that if you're doing a backup, you need to have a certain amount of free space that the backup software can spool to as it needs to do that backup. Comet doesn't need any of that. We're just able to do it simply on the fly without. Next is USB recovery, and this is something that's quite recent in Comet. What you've got the ability to do in Comet is to create a USB recovery stick. So I'll give you a scenario of how that might work. Say, for example, you've been doing full disk image backups of a customer's laptop. That customer rings you one day and says, hey, I've lost that laptop. All you need to do is have a new machine, obviously. You don't need an OS installed or anything. Use the wizard in Comet to create the USB recovery stick, plug it into the laptop, and then what it'll do is it will boot into a minimal Windows environment that has the Comet agent already pre-installed on it. From there, you can simply log into the backup account and action a restore directly to the machine. So this rapidly reduces the time to being able to restore, get access to the data, and get your customers back up and running. And it's just a nice handy tool for service providers and technicians to have in their toolkit really for, when those serious disaster situations strike. And lastly is the rebrandability of Comet. So everywhere when I do the demonstration that you see Comet, you see the logo Comet, you see the word Comet, just imagine that with your own logo on there. We really provide Comet as a platform for you to take, make your own, and really sell to your end users. You can do light amount of rebranding all the way through to code signing and more. It's certainly there for you, depending on how far you want to take your rebranding. So just to go back to sort of, why the both of us are here having this conversation, there's quite a lot of sort of cool little unique synergies between our companies here that really makes it quite exciting. Certainly when we launched Comet, we were getting a significant amount of demand almost from day one for us to be able to support Wasabi storage in Comet. And since we've done that, it's just been nothing but positivity, and certainly the demand that we've seen for people that have been looking for really robust, low-cost storage. Wasabi is certainly the way to go. So I'm just going to run through some of the key benefits of Wasabi using it with Comet. The first is there's no extra costs, there's no egress, no API requests, retrievals, or anything like that. So it makes it super cheap for you. They don't hold your data hostage. You can certainly get access to it at any time. Wasabi is high performance. It keeps all your data hot, so it can be accessed in milliseconds. Obviously, with backup, we can see the performance of slow backup versus fast backup, and certainly the metrics that we've seen in terms of Comet being used with Wasabi is really quite impressive. Wasabi's got their file system that certainly outperforms S3, which is quite cool to see. And they've got the high availability of the system architecture. So that's some of the things that we really enjoy about Wasabi, and that certainly we like to push forwards when people are asking for recommendations for storage, or certainly what we feel, you know, makes Wasabi really stand out.
Thank you, Josh. This is a nice summary of the interesting features that Wasabi delivers. Under the Comet side, what we hear from feedback of the Comet users is about the fast and secure bandwidth efficient backup and restores. And this is, of course, delivered by the deduplication at the source, which is available on your solution, which is helping to reduce and improve the bandwidth efficiency. Your pricing model is scalable, just like our pricing model is scalable, which is extremely important. Both Comet and Wasabi, we work with the channel, and Comet Backup is definitely a product for managed services providers, and this is a big chunk of our customer base. And finally, with something which is extremely important, you can, with Comet Backup, directly from the customer side to the Wasabi hot cloud storage without making a stopover on the local storage on premises, which is something that a lot of customers are looking for. So that's the two options. I let you describe this, Josh.
Yeah, so this is really touching on that last point a little bit more in depth, just to give you a bit more of an understanding. So we've really got two options with Comet here, and one of the things that we really try to do is give people the flexibility and the options to configure Comet for the type of backup situations and scenarios that will suit their business, as opposed to us telling you how you should be doing your backups. So we've got really two methods that you can back up to Wasabi. On the left-hand side here, we've obviously got direct. So that's direct from the backup client, which is installed on the customer's device, to Wasabi storage. Or the other is you can do it the traditional way if you like, and that goes via the Comet server to the object storage. But as I said, it really depends on which sort of scenario you like for how you want to achieve these. So just a couple of those sort of key points there. You know, it's rebrandable. You can do the direct or via server. It's up to you. There's no hardware maintenance or configuration with it. You're able to push out automatic updates to the customer devices. The email server is pre-configured in Comet. We've got SSL capability with Let's Encrypt, which allows it to be very secure, and obviously a free auto renewing SSL makes it really nice and secure. I mean, who doesn't love free and auto renewing? It makes it quite nice. And we've got 24/7 support, which we'll be able to offer to you, and that comes at no additional charge at all. So now I'm sort of going to move on to how they integrate, and this is just a picture of the client that's installed on the customer's machine. But what I thought it would be actually a little bit cooler to do would actually just be move over to a bit of a demonstration and just give you a quick overview of the client itself that's on the customer's PC and on the server. So I'll just jump over here. So it all starts with the server itself here. From here, you've just got a really simplistic dashboard that you can see online devices, the status of devices, classification in terms of what's been doing backup and restores at a glance, and also the server history. From the left here, we've got our control panel where you can quickly add users. You can download the client software. You can see the recent activity. So the recent activity here, what this allows you to do is, at a glance, if you're a service provider, quickly look through your partner base that's using Comet and be able to see and diagnose potential problems. Now, Comet has a live connection at all times between the client on the customer's machine and your server. So this has got a couple of cool benefits. The first is if you run or request any sort of action on the server, it'll run there instantly on the client itself. Second of all, we get live information. So for a couple of these devices here, we can see that they're actually offline, or we can see that there's no schedule, and we're able to update those from the server itself. We've got this activity section here on the recent activity page that gives you that overview of during the week of backups in terms of were they successful, were they missed, do I need to do a bit of investigation, and so forth. And you can just simply mouse over it here to see what's been happening with it. So in terms of your day-to-day backup operations, we give you just quite a nice overview to be able to manage and monitor these. Next is, I suppose, just a quick jump through of a customer account. So from the customer account, we provide you a number of different options here. You can assign an account name. You're able to restrict or enable resetting the customer's password. You've got the ability to provide custom quotas, custom storage vaults, the number of devices that they can back up. You can go through and remotely edit customers' backup types from the server itself. You can run backups from the server for the customer. You can administrate the storage vaults from here. You can add, revoke, rename devices. Certainly if there's a customer with a lot of different devices, it's really nice to be able to manage them, remove the ones that aren't being used, update them, give them certain IDs. And then we've got policies. So policies can be done on an individual customer level or on a global level. And policies allow you to restrict or enforce certain types of rules on the backup client for what the customer might be able to, can and can't do itself. But really, it just gives you a lot of flexibility there for providing a backup service that really fits your business. I just want to jump back over to protected items. So one of the cool things that we've got here is utilizing that live connection between the device itself and the server. As I can come in here and I can remotely browse the device that the software is on and configure the backup software and add and remove new items for backing up. So what this allows you to do is actually do a fair amount of work that you would normally have to do in any sort of backup scenario where you'd have to organize a customer to get a remote session, to get into their computer, to open the application, to change, and include new folders that need to back up and restore. You don't need to do any of this with Comet, as you're able to do it remotely through the server. So this certainly takes a lot of time out of that configuration. We've got a couple of other cool things here that I'll just really quickly run through. The first is connected devices. As I mentioned, live connection. We can see the details of here of what version they're running, what platform. I'll just flick on advanced modes here and you can see the other options. We can run the backup. We can run a remote restore. We can update it. We can uninstall it. We can refresh. We can drop connection, that type of thing. We've got a number of different tools there for you to be able to administrate your customer base live. We've got bulk update, so this allows you to very quickly go through and upgrade all of your client base to the newest version of Comet. Otherwise, you can downgrade versions or you can reinstall current versions. It's all there for you to be able to do in bulk in a really nice way. As I mentioned, we've got the policy section here. The policy section really allows you to create, I suppose, individual sorts of plans when you're sort of looking at it in that global context. And then we've got the ability to push news to the client machine as well. So I'll just walk through the client machine now and just sort of demonstrate this. So this is the view when you open up the client, and this is what's running on the customer's PC. From here, we've got sort of three distinct columns. First, you've got your actions for the client. Then we've got our protected items, and these are the various types of backups we're doing. And then we've got the summary of what's going on. So we can see here a backup, we can see when it ran. We can get a detailed summary of that backup job itself. We can see the files that were backed up during that time. You're able to go through and edit the settings for the backup. We can go through and configure new types of backup. You've got the flexibility to set custom schedules and times. So everything through to every hour to once a week, that type of thing. And customer retention, we've got all of those options there available for you. When it comes to restoring, it's the same thing. You've got all the options in terms of restoring, where you want to restore it to, and how you want to restore it to. Certainly one of the things that Jean-Michel mentioned was the Wasabi ball itself, in terms of being able to ingest and to be able to transfer large amounts of data, and Comet should work quite nicely with the Wasabi ball itself. With the client here, I just mentioned with the client news, and this is a nice sort of little demonstration of the live news. So we can see that there's some news here. If I go and create a new news item, you can see the updates almost instantly. So that's what I'm meaning in terms of that live connection, that you can do any action on the server and it will almost immediately happen on the client itself. So that's just a really a quick run through of Comet itself. As I mentioned, it's got really nice, simple configuration to be able to bring your Wasabi account and integrate that into Comet, and whether you configure all of your clients to back up direct from their sites to Wasabi or via the server, we give that flexibility, and we work really nicely with Wasabi's technology to be able to provide, a really nice comprehensive backup experience that increasingly in this day and age is really nice and secure. So yeah, that's just really a quick run through of Comet itself. What I might do now is just sort of hand you back over to Jean-Michel for the next part.
Thank you very much, Josh. This was a great demonstration, and extremely interesting to see how intuitive is your GUI. It seems to be extremely powerful, easy to use, self-understanding. So that was a great demo, short but great. So this is a great opportunity for people to become a cloud-based backup as a service provider. That's what you can offer by combining Comet Backup and the Wasabi Cloud Storage. Ease of administration, ease of use also, and if we think about the pricing, I wanted to disclose a little bit more about Wasabi pricing model. It is extremely simple. Wasabi has one product to sell, and the product we sell is 1 terabyte per month, and we sell it at a price at $5.99, which is extremely competitive and disrupting compared to the competitors. We do not charge for egress activities for download. We do not charge for API requests, so there are a lot of cloud supporting applications which are creating a lot of API requests, and if you deal with Amazon, Microsoft, or Google, they charge you just a little bit of cents for each of these operations. But if you do them thousands of times a month, this is becoming a significant amount of money. We have only one storage tier, one class of storage, so it is extremely simple. You don't have to ask yourself which option shall I go with. There is one option, one tier of storage. And if you go to our website, we have a price comparison tool. If you take the example of 1 petabyte of storage for a year with 20% of egress activity, which is not that much if you do backup and restore, it's going to cost roughly $500,000, whether you go with Amazon, Microsoft, or Google, when it's going to cost only $73,000 with Wasabi. So in terms of pricing, the choice is extremely easy to make.
Yeah, so I'll just give you a quick run through of our pricing. The Wasabi pricing, obviously, as you could see, nice and simplistic, and a very low barrier to entry for anybody that's looking for good, high quality storage. We've sort of gone for the same approach in terms of our pricing. So we're just really simple monthly pricing that frankly, you only pay for what you use. A lot of our competitors force you to have annual sorts of contracts, and they try and force you to buy licenses in bulk, but really it's a bit of a waste of money if you buy a significantly huge amount of licenses and you don't actually use them for maybe a year or two. With Comet, this allows your bill to really scale with you, so it allows your costs to be manageable. So first of all, we provide a free 30-day trial. I believe Wasabi also have a free 30-day trial, so that it's a bit of a no-brainer to go there and try them both out. We don't have any charges for updates. There's no charges for 24/7 support, replication, for server licensing or branding. The only things that we charge for is the actual types of backup you're doing. So disk image, files and folders, MySQL, Hyper-V, those other ones I mentioned before, those are the only things that we charge you for. A lot of the other providers out there, they like to charge you for those, but then they also charge you for support, replication, for branding and those things. We're radically different, much like Wasabi. We just charge you for those things that you're backing up, and it's dynamic monthly. So if you, excuse me, if your business grows, your bill will scale with you. Oppositely, if you lose a few customers, your bill will go down, but it's the most fairest way of charging you because, yeah, you're only really paying for what you use. So $2 a device per month, and then it's an additional $1 per month for SQL Server, Hyper-V, Exchange, MongoDB, Application Aware Writer, or it's $3 per month if you're doing disk image. And that's really it for the pricing for Comet. So between you know, that $5.99 terabyte cost with Wasabi, and us at, you know, $2 a month to back up a device. It's a very affordable and cheap way to get started with backup. But even for people that are larger at scale, once you take a bit of a time to understand the pricing and start to model it out over a year, you can see that you can be making some fantastic savings there. We also do have a full pricing calculator available on our website that you can go through and get an idea of your monthly and annual usage as well. And we've got some details there if you click on the hyperlink at cometbackup.com/pricing. So I'll hand you back to Jean-Michel, because I think this is the part now where it's the Q&A, and I can see that we have a few questions.
Yeah, while you were presenting, Josh, I noticed some questions which are Comet Backup questions.
Sure.
Them, I was about to say, sprechen Sie Deutsch? The question is the user interface available in German, and I believe in any other language than English?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got quite a diverse partner base all over the globe. So we've got Comet fully translated into 10 different languages, and they cover sort of the main languages out there. And German, yes, certainly is available in the client itself, and on the server itself is available in Deutsch.
Okay, sehr gut. Sehr gut. I have a question also about the API. Do you have API available on Comet Backup?
Yeah. So sort of one of the things that the conscious decisions that we did from day one was ensuring that we always had a really comprehensive, up-to-date API. As I mentioned sort of during the origin stories of Comet, when we were that company that was providing monitoring for other backup platforms, we're always coming across the fact that these providers, they had APIs, but they would be very behind, they'd be very out of date, and they would sort of be languishing somewhat. But with Comet, we decided from day one that it would always be up to date, it would always be comprehensive. And so we really encourage people to use the API to build Comet and integrate it deep into their environment and into the types of workflows that they're looking to do themselves. So yeah, certainly go ahead, play with the API, use it, see what you think. It's also available on GitHub as an SDK as well.
Okay, great. I have a question. I think we have both questions about our free trials. On the Wasabi side, we have a free 30-day trial for 1 terabyte. When you go to our website, you go and click on try and buy. It's only a try, which is free for 1 terabyte, 1 month. When you do the presentation, if you click on the Wasabi link, you will be pointed to the free trial application. And it's nice, of course, to run both trials in parallel so that you can see the benefits of the combined solution. I believe it works in a similar way with Comet Backup for the free trial.
Yeah, totally 30-day trial. So you definitely need somewhere to back your data up to. So Wasabi is certainly a great option for it. I can see a couple of questions here that I think would be good to put to you, Jean-Michel. This is quite a good one. How many buckets can I create with one Wasabi account? Is there sort of any limit, I suppose they're asking, or anything like that?
That's definitely a frequently asked questions. There is no limit in terms of buckets. So with one Wasabi account, you can create as many buckets as you want. And even something which is much more interesting, with one Wasabi account, you can create buckets in the different locations where we have a storage installation. So you can, you're a European customer, you will definitely use the Amsterdam location for the moment because it's the one which is going to provide the GDPR compliance. But should you have some customers located in the US, for latency purposes, it will make more sense to create the buckets in one of the US regions. Under the same account, you can do all in one. So this is definitely possible. There is no limitations. Another question, and maybe it's already asked, is there any limitations in terms of number of objects you can create into one single bucket? There is no limit. There are some rule of thumbs. If you have only one bucket to store all of your data, that might be sometimes complex to manage, and particularly if you do backup as a service, the best practices are to create one bucket for each of your customers so that you can have a clear view on what you back up for each of your customer, and should you want to invoice your customer for the capacity they consume, you know exactly the capacity which is consumed on a bucket basis. I had another question regarding Comet, which was about the the software updates. How frequently do they happen? Or?
Yeah. So software updating is obviously very important. We're pretty quick on our development. A lot of our competitors might release maybe 1 or 2 updates a year. We've decided that because we like to be quite different in how we do most things, we've got really 2 different ways that you can upgrade your version of Comet. So first is really our standard quarterly release. Every 3 months, there's a brand new version of Comet, a whole bunch of shiny new things in it for you to try out. The alternative is our Voyager branch, and what this is basically at the cutting edge of our development, that as soon as features are ready and available and just generally anything new, we release those. So it can be anywhere from weekly to fortnightly. It just depends if we've got some new things that we want to put out there. What this means for you as service providers, it depends on what's your sort of preference for upgrading. You can upgrade once a quarter, or you can upgrade once a week if you want to get those brand new features and functionality. It's just one of those things that's entirely up to you to which of those versions you'd like to be going with. We just really give you that flexibility.
Okay, cool. I think this is a question for me. Some people are asking about clarification of what we call an immutable bucket. An immutable bucket is something which is extremely cool. If you have to keep data for a long period of time, sometimes for legal reasons or compliance reasons, you can create a bucket as immutable, and the bucket is going to work like a warm storage solution. So for example, you create an immutable bucket with a retention of 1 year. All of the files you're going to upload on this immutable bucket for the following 12 months, nobody will be able to delete, to modify this data. So this is extremely interesting. And Wasabi was the first storage vendor to offer such a solution on object storage.
There's one question here that I think would be interesting, mainly because we get asked about GDPR all the time. I'm subject to comply with GDPR regulations. Can I store my data in USA Wasabi data centers? Do you have a data center in Europe?
So definitely we have a data center in Europe. It was almost a must-have location in order to be GDPR compliant. And it's not recommended, and it's no longer recommended to store data in the US because the European Court of Justice no longer recognizes the Privacy Shield Act. But I believe this is not a problem, because if you're a customer who has no valid reasons to want to store your GDPR subject data outside of the European Union, you're not going to go into that direction. So you store the data in the Wasabi Amsterdam data center. They will stay in Amsterdam. There is no possibility that Wasabi decides to move your bucket into a US location. The data are created in Europe and they will stay in Europe, and the company will hence be GDPR compliant. This is also interesting to note that there are some countries which have a similar privacy regulation, and they accept that the data to be stored in a GDPR compliant location as long as the data they are encrypted both in transit and at rest. I'm thinking, for example, at South Africa. And again, the Wasabi Amsterdam data center is the place of choice to store this data.
Just to sort of build on that, with Comet, Comet's able to be completely GDPR compliant by the mere fact that you actually run your Comet backup server yourself on your own hardware, and we don't have any control or access to it or anything like that. So using Comet with a GDPR service like Wasabi itself means that you can be totally compliant, because essentially everything is run by you in-house, and then you're using a compliant storage provider as well. So yeah, it's very cool.
All right, I believe we almost have answered, I believe, all of the questions. Some other questions were asked, but we already answered, either you and me, during the rest of the presentation. So I thank you, all of the participants. I thank you so much, Josh, for your early wake up to be part of this presentation.
No problem.
We encourage all of the participants to apply for the free trial at Wasabi and Comet, and we thank everybody for participating live to this presentation. It will remain posted on BrightTalk for the following 12 months, if I'm correct. And all of the participants, live participants and replay participants, they can also download some of the useful resources we're going to share with them. So thank you very much for being on the call. Thank you so much, Josh. Maybe sometime I will be glad to meet with you face to face, not virtually.
Yeah.
That's what we can wish to everybody. And that's how we finish this participation to this webinar. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.